Avoiding diseases and stress. The number one cause of failure in rearing hens and chickens has been when the birds get sick and start dying without you being able to do anything to save them. I have seen many entrepreneurs who start with a good flock of chickens, and when they see them sick, they start asking for help, pay for vets, expensive medications, and in the end, the birds die anyway. People are left sad and sometimes in debt because they lose a lot of money, and the birds that survive no longer perform the same, both broilers and laying hens. So the first goal must be to prevent the birds from getting sick so that rearing chickens is very cheap for you. The best thing that can happen is that you have them very healthy from before you start. You must learn what chickens need to feel good. Mainly when it comes to broilers, diseases arrive due to poor construction of the chicken coop, and the other problem is poor management in general. In a good chicken coop, the floor must always be dry, the drinkers must not leak and always be kept with water. The food must be of the best possible quality, and from here a word comes in that everyone who has animals must know very well: biosecurity. This is more important than vaccines or any other remedy. It is fundamental to understand biosecure management in home chicken coops and how to build the best chicken coop in the world with recycled materials. Follow these tips. Your birds will be productive, healthy, and you will be very happy. I don't promise it, I guarantee it. Rice husks in the bedding. Bedding is the material that goes on the floor and that the chickens will be stepping on. When you use rice husks and see that it needs replacement, it may be that just sifting it is enough to leave it almost like new. There are several interesting things that happen when you pass the rice husk through a sieve. In order to lower costs and have coops be beautiful and healthy, you must perform maintenance on the bird's bedding. By sifting this material, not only are you going to separate the dirt from the husks that are clean and can continue to be used in your chicken coop, but you will also be able to notice other things like, for example, the level of food waste that happens in this place. Many times when sifting the husk, we see a lot of maize or a lot of concentrate or things that are food and that were left without being consumed by the chickens. And what does that mean? That you are throwing away feed money, my friend. Additionally, those things in the bedding attract rats, mice, and ants. By using the sieve, you will be able to take out all the dirty material, and you will be able to use a good percentage of the bedding that is still clean, in such a way that now you won't have to buy as much bedding material as if, for example, you use another material like wood shavings that over time turn into dust and are impossible to recover. For this reason, rice husks are highly recommended. There are those who say that rice husks promote the appearance of external parasites like mites and lice and those things. But for those who already know how to deal with all these things, that is not going to worry them because they will remember the advice about sulfur in the chicken coops and the problem is solved. So by salvaging the material from the chicken coop bedding, rejuvenating it and rescuing it, it is also a great way to save money. The use of chicken manure. Chicken manure is the dirty part we just removed from the coop after having sifted the bedding. We separate the clean bedding material from the dirty material, and that dirty material is called chicken manure. It is a fertilizer. It is a fertilizer that in some places they pay very well for, so you can sell it. You can sell the fresh manure as you just took it out of the shed, or you can also put it to compost, and in a period of approximately 6 months, you can sell it as ready-made fertilizer to fertilize cropland or gardens of all kinds. Anti-waste feeders. Since we already saw that chicken feed is not always used 100%, but in truth, a large part of that feed is wasted when falling to the floor, a good recommendation to save money in rearing these birds is to equip yourself with anti-waste feeders that you can make yourself at home. These feeders are designed so that the birds have to put their head in there to feed, and there is nowhere for the food to fall out. Depending on the design used, they can also help prevent mice from having access to the bird's food. With these feeders, you will not only spend less on chicken food, but by preventing so much food from falling into the bedding material, that bedding will remain a little cleaner, and that helps the same chicken bedding last longer. Measuring daily food. In the case of laying hens, you can learn to measure the food they should consume daily to stay healthy, mainly when you feed them only with commercial feed. Why is this important? For several reasons. One of them is that, as far as possible, it is recommended not to leave food in the feeders during the night so that cockroaches, mice, and others don't come. They can urinate on the food that remains there. It gets damp, fungi form, and things that can make the hens sick. At other times, it simply forms a clump of food that later, when you have to remove it, is a large ball of spoilt food. The other good reason to measure the food or learn to dose it the correct way is to maintain the good health of the chickens. Giving them the right amount allows you to keep the weight of the hens in a healthy weight range. If I overfeed the layers, the risk of contracting heart and respiratory problems shoots up, but mainly ovarian problems that can kill them very soon or cause problems that torment them for a long time. In addition, overweight hens present problems in laying eggs and some stop laying altogether. So taking care of weight through a correct food supply is a very responsible decision, even from an economic point of view. Because if the hens eat more than they need, you will be spending more money on food than necessary. And also, when the birds stop laying or get sick, then you will also lose money. If you rear chickens or broilers for meat, then it is necessary to keep food for them always at all hours, as much as they can eat. Grains are not given whole. I truly tell you this. There are different techniques to make a pound of grain food turn into 4 or 8 pounds in a matter of a few days with some watering. Germinating the grains is better than giving them whole. It requires a little extra work, but it allows you to get many benefits. For example, the grain itself has certain nutrients, but when you germinate them, new and more abundant nutrients appear, at the same time that anti-nutrients disappear. The material becomes healthier and creates many benefits at the intestinal level that, of course, benefit the health of the animals and allow them to better assimilate any other food. So giving whole grains is not only a waste of money, but grains alone as food tend to fatten the birds, while sprouted is better in every sense. Using forages and varied food. When you have chickens at home, it is very advisable to give them varied food. Birds are good grinders of kitchen scraps. That said, avoid giving them very salty foods because salt can also harm them if you overdo it. In very small amounts, there is no problem. Don't give them fats or oil. You can also lower costs by giving them grasses and well-cut leaves. But when you use varied feeding, I also recommend learning to weigh your chickens and identify the healthy weight for the age. In fact, the hen's weight is one of the most important factors we must watch so that everything goes well. But definitely using varied food allows you to save on the purchase of bird food. Alternative protein. Well, protein is one of the elements that makes chicken food expensive. But to provide that natural animal protein to your birds, there are several alternatives. One of them is worms. When chickens roam free in the field, they are constantly scratching the ground, right? Trying to unearth some beetles or worms, they are the best sources of nutrients for them. So in the same composting I mentioned earlier with the chicken waste to turn it into fertilizer, while it is processed, sometimes larvae or worms result depending on the location and the way the process is done, which is very profitable because you get high-quality protein and it allows you to lower feeding costs. There are several models of clean larvae farms with high protein content, very good for birds, but it also works for other pets. Breed your own chickens. When you have a chicken coop where eggs are produced for your own consumption, you can afford to hatch chicks and you avoid buying replacement hens. For this, you can breed your hens with a good field cockerel, crossing the laying hens with field cockerels that come from a family that is a good layer. That's how chickens we call improved come out, only you don't have to buy these because you will have already hatched them at home. Whether the eggs were incubated by a broody hen or you use an artificial incubator that can be made in many ways with simple household materials. This is how, from a single laying hen, many improved chickens can be produced, and sometimes they come with more fun designs and colors than those bought commercially. The advantages of buying chickens commercially is that they have more refined and proven genetics with the highest yield for both meat and egg production, and they also already come with some vaccines. While the advantages of breeding your own chickens is getting hens better adapted to the area, and that makes them more resistant to diseases than the others, that is, hardiness. Therefore, you don't have to incur the cost of buying hens because they tend to be expensive. All these strategies help a lot so that having chickens doesn't lead you to absolute poverty, because if one does things wrong, then having chickens at home can end up costing you a lot of money unnecessarily, mainly when you don't pay attention to point number one, which I consider the most important of all. Now, of these 9 strategies, which one caught your attention the most and why? Also, if you have another idea on how to save on rearing chickens, please share it with us. I'll read your response in the comments. If this guide has changed your way of seeing home rearing, please subscribe and like our channel. We are rescuing the essential knowledge that others try to ignore. Cultivate your own success and ensure your future. The next treasure of wisdom will open very soon for you.